Hello everybody, how are you? Welcome to your English lesson number 10, linking words for conditionals. I am Mr. Ngom and I am a teacher of English. I dedicate this lesson to the chapter of artists, the chapter of fatigue, and to the president of this chapter, Mr. Edward Fife. I also dedicate this lesson to the English mixed cell of Sokon and to its coordinator, Mr. Soleil Lo. Today's lesson is about linking words for conditionals. So in lesson number 9, we saw conditional clauses formation. Today's lesson is about the conjunctions that we can use to form conditionals. Example of if, unless, only if, even if, whether or not, inversion, and others. At the end of the lesson, you will have some exercise and the answer keys. Linking words for conditional clause. Example, if, unless, only if, even if, whether or not, inversion, in case, as long as, so long as, provided that or providing that, suppose that or supposing that, on condition that, and many more. But in today's lesson, we just focus on if, unless, only if, even if, whether or not, and the inversion. So maybe in another video, we'll deal with the other conditions. The first one is if. So many people, when dealing with conditional, they refer to the conditional as if clauses. But normally, the name of the lesson is not if clause, it is conditional clause. But why do people say if clause? Because if is the most commonly used conjunction in the lesson. So if is the most common subordinating conjunction that people use in written and spoken English. That's why many people say if clause, but it's not if clause, it's conditional clause. But if is the most common subordinating conjunction that people use. And if is used to link the subordinating clause to its consequence. Example, I will forgive you if you apologize. So you have two parts of a sentence that are linked with the subordinating conjunction if. As an example, if you did not invite me, I would not come. So if also here links the subordinating conjunction and its consequence or result would not come. Unless. Unless is the equivalent of if plus negative form. Meaning what? If plus negative equals unless plus affirmative form. Let's practice. If you don't apologize, I will not forgive you. So here you have if here plus negative form. Now to use unless, you'll be obliged to drop negative form and use affirmative form. Example, unless you apologize, I will not forgive you. And be careful, don't change anything in the main clause. So unless you affirmative form. So here you see apologize is in the affirmative form, whereas in the first example, apologize is in the negative form. As examples, if you did not invite me, I would not come. So did not is in the negative form, preterite. So with unless, it will be in the affirmative form. Come on, unless you invited me, I would not come. Once again, don't change the main clause. Only if. Only if is another conjunction. It is used when the condition is more restrictive and more specific. Sometimes you have only one condition to fulfill a situation. Okay? You have only one condition, okay, for something to happen. Example, people will vote for us only if they trust us. I am a candidate. I want to be elected. I want people to vote for me. But there is only one condition. It is that people trust me. So people will vote for us only if they trust us. Only if you have, the condition is restrictive and specific. So only if they trust us is the only one condition for people to vote for me. Another example. Now be careful. When only if is at the beginning of a sentence, we have inversion in the main clause. When only if starts a sentence, we have inversion in the main clause. Meaning, if you have only if they trust us, will people. So only if beginning a sentence, a conditional clause, you must have inversion in the main clause. Only if they trust us, will people vote for us. I would come only if you invited me. Only if you invited me would I come. Only if you invited me would I come. Only if beginning the sentence, we must have inversion in the main clause. Don't forget. Even if is used to emphasize the fact that something would happen, or would have happened no matter what the condition is. Example, only if means sometimes you have an unexpected result. Even if you work hard, you won't succeed. Normally, if someone works hard, he will succeed normally. But with even if you have an unexpected result, meaning regardless the condition, you won't have the unexpected result. So even if you work hard, you won't succeed. He would wear a jacket even if it were hot. So normally, if it is hot, people don't wear jackets. But here, my friend, even if it were hot, he would wear a jacket. Even if she got the bag, she'd not go to university. Normally, people who have got the bag go to university. But with even if, the result is an unexpected one, meaning you will get the bag, but you won't go to university. Even if you had invited me, I would not have come, meaning normally if someone invites you, you must go. But with even if, it is an unexpected result. Even if you invite me, I will not go. Whether or not, or whether, space or not. Whether or not is used to show that something would happen or would have happened regardless of the conditions. Sometimes two conditions are involved. Whether or not means if or. Example, they must go now, whether or not they like it. If they like it, they must go. If they don't like it, they must go. So whether they like it or not, they must go. Okay? So whether or not they like it, they must go. Another example, they must go now, whether they like it or not. So you can separate or not from whether by putting, the main clause inside. Whether or not you invite me, I will come. If you invite me, I will come. If you don't invite me, I will come. In both cases, I will come. So regardless the condition, I will come. So whether or not you invite me, I will come. Or whether you invite me or not, I will come. Both are correct. Inversion. We can invert, meaning we use inversion when we want to omit if without replacing it with another conjunction. Come on. Here you have inversion, auxiliary, subject. If I had known you, without if, had I known you. So you take the auxiliary had, beginning the sentence, plus the subject I, had I known you. If I had known you, had I known you. If I had seen you, had I seen you. If they had understood, had they understood. If they had come, had they come. If we were informed, if we were informed, we would come. Here, were we informed, we would come. Inversion, auxiliary subject. Inversion also, we can use, if the boss raises our salary, I will stay. And here, you can use should plus subject plus base form to replace if. Come on. Should the boss raise our salary, I will stay. It is the same. If the boss raises our salary, or should the boss raise our salary, are interchangeable. They have the same meaning. So we have omit if by replacing it with nothing but auxiliary subject. If they recognize us, we will talk to them. Come on, should they recognize us, we will talk to them. So here also is another possibility of inversion. I hope that you have understood. We are going to practice exercise. Let's practice now. Exercise 1. Reformulate the following clauses without using if. Come on. Number 1. If he were over 18. Number 2. If we had bought the property. Number 3. If she refuses the offer. Number 4. If I had woken up earlier. Number 5. If we weren't so clever. Number 6. If James doesn't remember. Now, put your finger on the pause button. Take your pen or pencil and a piece of paper and do the exercise and come back later. We correct together. Okay, number 1. If he were over 18. Without if, were he over 18? Number 2. If you had bought the property. Come on. Had we bought the property? Number 3. If she refuses the offer. Come on. Should she refuse the offer? Or were he to refuse the offer? Were subject plus full infinitive. Should she refuse the offer? Number 4. If I had woken up earlier, had I woken up earlier? Number 5. If we weren't so clever, were we not so clever? Number 6. If James doesn't remember, unless James remembers, or should James not remember? Here you have 2 possibilities. Exercise number 2. Rewrite the following sentences using the prompts given. Number 1. If you do not work hard, you will not succeed. Starting with unless. Number 2. Had my mother seen me, I would have had big troubles. Starting with if. We would go to the beach only if my father allowed us to. Starting with only if. 4. Unless it rained, we would go out. With if. If they were interested, they would come. Starting with were. And number 6. If my husband had cheated on me, I would have guessed. Once again, take a piece of paper and a pencil, put your finger on the pause button, do the exercise, and come back later. We correct together. Come on. Number 1. With unless plus affirmative form. Unless you work hard, you won't succeed. Number 2. If my mother had seen me, I would have had big troubles. Number 3. Only if my father allowed us to, would we go to the beach. Don't forget, would we go, because the sentence starts with only if. Number 4. Unless it rained, with if plus negative form. If it did not rain, we would go out. Number 5. If they were interested, they would come. Were they interested, they would come. Number 6, if my husband had cheated on me, I would have guessed. Had my husband cheated on me, I would have guessed. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Ibrahima Ngom Attitude, for positive attitudes. Thank you very much for watching. It was Mr. Ngom from Pasi High School. Goodbye and see you very soon.